Arizona News Radio. Pinal County Sheriff's deputies arrest a Santan Valley man for impersonating a law enforcement officer during a traffic stop.
He was a former explorer with us. He got kicked out of the program due to criminal misconduct back in 2015.
Mojave County Sheriff's deputies working with the NTSB. 2 trains collided northeast of Kingman, 1 dead, another injured.
Mojave County Sheriff's Office responded to a call of a train collision outside of Truxton, Arizona. Deputies responded and observed one of the trains had been derailed and the other received significant damage.
Wildfire near Heber Overguard is now encircled, 20% officially contained, but they're concerned about winds.
Areas like Winslow, Show Low, they can expect gusts on Thursday up to anywhere of 30 knots or so, and then all throughout the rest of the higher elevations we'll have winds anywhere from 20 to 25.
George Tatter, Arizona News Radio.
It's time for your 1100 KFNX traffic report, brought to you by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. In Phoenix, we have an accident at the I-10 eastbound of 35th Ave, as well as 7th Ave at Northern Ave. And in Glendale, be on the lookout for a collision at Grand Ave, the US 60 at Orangewood Ave. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation invites you to take steps for a Cures at a Walk event near you. Get started at cctakesteps.org.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening, our air quality alert continues. Mostly clear tonight, overnight low 74. Thursday sunny, high 106. Thursday night clear, overnight low 75. And sunny Friday, high 108. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently in downtown Phoenix, it's 101 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks. Here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
The Zika virus is trying to land in Arizona. Spread by infected mosquitoes, there are steps you can take to fight the bite. Use DEET repellent when you're outdoors. Wear long-sleeved shirts. Use screens on windows and doors. And make sure there isn't any standing water in your yard. Zika is dangerous for pregnant women and women who are thinking about becoming pregnant. See your healthcare provider to discuss prevention before you or your partner travel to an area where Zika is active. For more information, go to azhealth.gov/fightthebite.
You're in the front yard, shovel in hand, about to dig, when a thought crosses your mind.
Was I supposed to call 811 before I start digging? Nah, that's just for excavator dudes.
No, dude, it's for homeowners, too. Before starting any digging project, call 811 2 working days in advance to get all underground lines marked for free, because natural gas lines and other utilities can be buried anywhere.
Got it. Thanks, deep-voiced narrator.
You're welcome, dude. Brought to you by Southwest Gas.
The information and opinions you hear on this radio show are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of KFNX, its affiliates, management, or advertisers.
Live from the Midtown studios of KFNX, it's time for the Wellness Roundtable radio show, sponsored by Atrix.com. Now, here's your hosts, Dr. Spear and Dr. Weiss.
Welcome to the Wellness Roundtable radio show. It's Wednesday here in Phoenix. I'm Dr. David Spear, along with my co-host, Dr. Scott Weiss. Dr. Weiss, how are we today?
I'm having a really good day today. I feel pretty fulfilled. Just got finished with a jiu-jitsu class. That always makes me feel good and solid after that.
Good. So now we'll talk a little bit about mobility today, about brain health, about exercise, about wellness.
Great.
And I wanted to start with a current event, looking at some recent research that was done out of Ohio State. And I think, this kind of speaks to me in a personal way, because I had two parents, one parent in particular who suffered from dementia. The researchers actually looked at mice and found that mice who socialized with groups had much better brain health than those that were paired. So even if they weren't alone, but they were with another lab rat, so to speak, they didn't do as well as when they were socialized with a group. And what the most interesting part about this research is that they're not quite sure as to why this is. Is it because when you socialize with a group, there's much more sort of stimulation, or is it the fact that if you are suffering from dementia or poor brain health, you tend to withdraw from larger groups, and therefore you put yourself in a circumstance where you're a little bit more isolated? even if you're in a pair, like let's say married or so, you're a little bit more isolated. I found that to be really, really interesting. And what we're going to be talking about today, besides brain health, is aging. So I wanted to get your take on that.
I mean, I could see different sides of that, Dave, honestly. I mean, I totally know, and I think we're well aware, that the brain does great with constant and consistent stimulation. So no doubt about it, I can see that, interacting, having different experiences, multiple experiences with different people, or should I say different mice, is really ideal for the development and brain growth. But I like what you said, and that the second point that you said was really ideal, where maybe that these people are suffering in some way where they withdraw and don't get that stimulation naturally. And you're right, I think it could be twofold.
Yeah, I agree, and that kind of leads us. I want to tell our listeners that before we go into the show and introduce our guest, that the research was done by a Dr. Elizabeth Kirby, who's an assistant professor of behavioral neuroscience and a member of the Center for Chronic Brain Injury at Ohio State, and it appears in the journal called Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience. And at this point, I'd like to introduce our guest, Ulya Kahn, who is actually in studio with us. And if you kind of can see us on Facebook Live, we're sitting here. And I'm just going to ask you to put in your password there. And Ulya and I have been working together for a little while in terms of the Aging 2.0 initiative. So Ulya is a healthcare and information services executive with significant experience in building and scaling businesses. And recently she was the chief operating and product officer of Tivity Health, managing about $550 million of P&L. Her product portfolio includes Silver Sneakers, which you may know, Scott, is a very well-known national initiative for seniors to have them exercise. I remember Silver Sneakers from when I was in school. And it's specifically designed for the 65-plus population. Ulya is now the president at We Manage, LLC, which is a Phoenix-based company. Her current focus is now on digital health, healthy aging, and startups. And she's also the Phoenix ambassador for Aging 2.0, which we'll talk a lot more about, working with innovators and entrepreneurs to develop disruptive solutions for aging in place and in community. And welcome to the show, Ulya.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, Ulya.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, both of you, for having me here. And I look forward to the afternoon and to the discussion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really interesting things to talk about as we've discussed on the show, or previous shows, I should say, that, we have an aging population. And 10,000 people are turning age 65 every day. So we are inundated with older individuals, so we have to figure out a way to work with that population. And I think that's sort of what Aging 2.0 does. But I'd like you to tell us and tell the listeners, what is Aging 2.0?
So just taking a step back, whether we like it or not, the silver tsunami is coming our way. And I have never before worked in a business where you do nothing to grow your market. And that is the case for the business of aging, where about 11,000 people turn 65 every single day in the U.S. On top of that, children, a 10-year-old today has a 50% chance of living to the age of 104. So not only are people living longer, the children that are being born now will outlive us and, their parents and grandparents. So, and also as the boomers age in and turn 65, they are a much more demanding generation, very, very active, and have a different slant on aging. So Aging 2.0 really is a movement and a platform which really it's passionate about changing the conversation around aging, because, and the reason for calling it 2.0 is that 1.0, as we see it, was really focused on challenges exclusively related to medical pieces, and it was really very silo approaches to aging. 2.0 is different because it is really a more holistic and a collaborative approach to aging, lifestyle-oriented and opportunity-driven. And really it hinges very much and counts very much on collaboration between private and public sectors, profit and non-profit organizations, and collaboration between innovators, entrepreneurs, established companies, investors, government agencies. So a very sort of collaborative movement to take the conversation forward.
Yeah, and Scott, I've become part of the Aging 2.0 committee here in Phoenix, and the people who I've met come from a vast array of backgrounds, which really, I think, when go back kind of 20 years, aging was looked at as like, okay, this happens to you, and then you got your medical issues, and then that's it, right? But I think, as Ulya points out, and rightly so, there are so many people who are aging, whether they're 50 or 65 or 70, but they are in the kind of condition where they need improved quality of life. They just, right? They're just not, they don't have the medical issues that we used to have, and maybe that's due to medical advances, but we're starting to see an aging population that really needs a lot of help in a lot of different areas.
Correct.
I agree, and I would say it's on the physical level. A lot of what we used to think as aging is really just a lack of movement and a lack of exercise. So I do believe that, incorporating a really good systematic approach to exercise and teaching that population how to exercise and really, preventing any further physical disability and aiding in their activities of daily living is really optimal for that group, especially in the physical therapy world I'm from.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So we're going to go into our next segment. We're going to talk more specifically about Aging 2.0 and what are the things that they focus on. I hear that there are grand challenges that Aging 2.0 really wants to focus on a national level, and that responsibility is also given to each chapter across the nation. So if you want to call in and join in on the conversation, give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100. And we're talking about aging, specifically about Aging 2.0 and the national movement that is going to help people in many, many different ways age and improve their quality of life. Our guest is Ulya Kahn. We'll be right back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show.
Join Aging 2.0 for the annual Optimize Conference in San Francisco on November 14th and 15th. With 1,000+ attendees each year, this is one of the largest conferences in the field of aging. It is an annual conference with cutting-edge content, networking, and partnership opportunities that make this a high-value event for anyone interested in innovation and aging. This year, it is taking place in the iconic Herbst Theater at the War Memorial Building in San Francisco. Optimize will feature captivating keynotes, exclusive networking opportunities, unique market insights, and a cutting-edge showcase of innovative exhibitors. Get registered today at www.aging2.com/optimize-2018.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
Information on better health, fitness, and nutrition is everywhere, but much of it is about selling and not teaching. Jerry Brainham's Applied Metabolics newsletter is different. No ads, no advertisers, only pure, unvarnished truth. Jerry Brainham has written for bodybuilding magazines for over 35 years and published over 6,500 articles, and has been on the scene of fitness and nutrition for 56 years. His Applied Metabolics newsletter is an incredible source of practical, no-nonsense guidance, offering in-depth information about nutrition, food supplements, exercise science, ergogenic aids, anti-aging and longevity research, women's health issues, fat loss techniques, preventative medicine, and more. For only $10 a month, that's less than a cup of coffee per day. Subscribe to Jerry Brainham's informational and transformational newsletter and get information to guide you on the path toward health, longevity, and overall well-being. Visit AppliedMetabolics.com. That's AppliedMetabolics.com.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
We're back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show, and we're talking Aging 2.0 with our guest, Ulya Kahn, who is the president and managing partner of We Manage LLC, a digital health and healthy aging company focused on startups, as well as the ambassador to the Phoenix chapter of Aging 2.0, a national organization that is basically putting together a movement to increase the quality of life of those people who are aging in our country today. And we were just talking, Scott, about, there are certain areas that the Aging 2.0 movement focuses on. There are about 8 grand challenges, and we just want to do a high-level overview of what those are. So, Ulya, can you tell the listeners what those things are that Aging 2.0 focuses on?
Of course, David. So the 8 grand challenges that Aging 2.0 is focused on are, number 1, engagement and purpose. Because how many times have we heard that when people lose purpose and engagement in their own health, that's when the decline starts. Mm-hmm. So that's the grand challenge, number 1. Number 2 is financial wellness. For obvious reasons, people need to be able to support themselves in their retirement. And they're so, as people get older, they're so, prone to falling for scams and things. Mm-hmm. So financial wellness is an important piece. And then mobility and movement, which is what, we have been discussing earlier as well, how important exercise and, both cognitive as well as physical exercise and movement is very important. And then daily living and lifestyle pieces, which include things like, even nutrition programs and diabetes prevention sort of type, offerings. And then you've got caregiving and care coordination, because again, as people get older, the caregiving piece, the family members become caregivers, or you have hired and paid caregivers. In any case, caregiving is an important focus. And then on top of that, care coordination, because if somebody else is caring for your family, and how do the family members, stay engaged and involved as well. And and then the last 2 grand challenges are, no surprise, brain health. Because we can have a very fit body, but if the brain goes, and those who have loved ones that have suffered dementia or Alzheimer's can relate to the importance of brain health. And last but not least, end of life, because, again, what do they say, that tax and death are the 2 given in life, right? So there's no cheating those.
Right.
So it's important to plan for end of life and just make arrangements early on. So those are the 8 grand challenges.
Yeah.
Ulya, those are really comprehensive. I don't think people out there realize the amount of comprehension in the programs that you're running. So I think it truly is amazing, because I think people out there might be a specialty in 1, might be a specialty in 2, or even 3 or 4, but to pull them all together like you did in the 8, I think is a really great approach, and I'm sure you're having great success with that.
Thank you. We are, and kudos to the Aging 2.0 global team as well.
Yeah, I think, Scott, I think that's really what I was getting at before. There is such a vast array of experience in the people who are involved in these committees across the country. So you do have people who have the financial piece, and you do have people who have the mobility piece, and you have people who deal with, the brain health. And so they've really thought about this in a very, more than a comprehensive way. It's done very thoughtfully, to look at, what are the ways to sort of triangulate on the aging issues, the major aging issues that we see. And as this is a wellness program, and we've talked about issues of, fitness and nutrition and everything from falling down to basically building bigger biceps, the idea is that it needs to be comprehensive, and it needs to be something that is sort of interdisciplinary, right? Similar to what we do with wellnessroundtable.com. It needs to be interdisciplinary. You need to have experienced people from different angles to really focus on the entire person. So that's why
I agree, and that's optimal care these days. That's truly optimal care,
Right, absolutely.
So for this year in particular, so out of the 8 challenges, what we are trying to do is every year pick 2 that will have the mega focus.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 challenges that we have picked for 2018 are brain health and caregiving.
Okay.
And and next year we're taking votes for next year.
Now what you focus on is not necessarily what the national movement is focused on. So you're saying we as the Phoenix chapter.
No, this is the national.
Okay. So it comes
2.0.
down from the national organization.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So it's not just national, it's international. Aging 2.0 is a global movement and a global platform with 40 plus chapters worldwide.
Okay.
And a very active community. So that focuses on brain health and caregiving.
Right.
The chapter itself, obviously, we are focused on all 8, but
right.
we will put 2 big summits this year on those 2 selected topics.
Which is a nice thing, because then it becomes standardized across all chapters.
Yes.
Everybody's working toward the same goal at the same time.
Not only that, there's great collaboration between chapters themselves, where there's a lot of learning happening and sort of, just thought leadership developing, and people just it's incredible, the community that Aging 2.0 has managed to build.
Yeah, that's really, that's great.
To do good, right? So doing business and doing good, it's the marriage of the 2 here.
I agree. What do you think,
Well, Dave,
Scott?
we have an email here. We have an email here from Vivian in New York.
Yeah.
And Vivian's asking, what specifically can she do for brain health? What type of foods or exercises are there out there that can enhance my brain health? Great question, Vivian.
Great question. Thanks for the question. Well, I do know that we have individuals here in the Phoenix chapter who specifically deal with brain health. One in particular, a man by the name of Paul Bendheim, who has a company called Brain Savers. And I believe the website is brainsavers.com, if I'm not
correct.
familiar.
So, yes. So there are a number of things one can do. So Brain Savers is a program that, it's an exercise program that incorporates 6 elements of health, but it includes cognitive. So it's really brain health coupled with nutrition, coupled with physical fitness, stress management, sleep, and socialization. So that's those 6 elements Dr. Bendheim has put together into a class format that is today offered through Optum Care Centers here in Phoenix, and I believe WellMed offers it in Texas, and then there are some being offered in Florida. And in addition to that, there is a company called Brain HQ. That's a San Francisco-based company, and they have a lot of great online exercises, and you can subscribe to their website. And they've got some amazing, and it just sees your response times and starts to understand better how people are responding, and then changes the exercises based on the response timings and stuff.
So it's an interactive type of
very
experience.
Interactive, uses artificial intelligence to learn about the person who's actually taking this.
Oh, that's great. And what's the website for that?
BrainHQ.com.
BrainHQ.com.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for the question, Vivian. Really appreciate it. So as we're discussing, Aging 2.0 or 2.0, what are some of the events you talked about? Some events that are being planned in the future. What might some of those events be?
So we will be publishing a full calendar on the Aging 2.0 website under the Phoenix chapter. But the the thinking is that in September we will have an event to do with brain aging. In addition to that, we will also be collaborating with Sun Health, Community Living, and the event that they are putting together on fall prevention.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was shocked to find out that Arizona has the highest rate of fall-related deaths in the U.S.
Wow.
I thought it would be in a cold place,
So
like
would
I
I.
said, but
Yeah.
no, Arizona has the highest, fall-related deaths. So obviously we need to focus on that. And
Okay.
and then
Because of the population?
I was just going to say, is it
I
disproportionate?
believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. But on the flip side, Florida has a very high, older population as well.
Correct,
So
and they
it's-
don't have
no,
the fall-related deaths.
No, it's Arizona.
That's interesting. And yeah, and Scott, I'll tell you that the ground here is not particularly slippery. It's not like
Correct.
we have situations where we're slipping and falling all the time. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
then
the one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the other event we will be putting together in the October timeframe would be a caregiving event.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
I see.
So, Scott, I'm going to have you hold your question until we come back for the next segment, if that's okay. All right. Give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100. We're talking aging with Ulya Kahn, who is an ambassador of the Phoenix chapter of Aging 2.0, a movement that was basically started to help people age in place and improve their quality of life, as we know that the quote-unquote silver tsunami is coming. So we'll be right back after these words, and give us a call to join in on the conversation. This is the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show. See you soon.
Common sense. Independent talk. 1100 KFNX. The true voice of Arizona. Independent talk 1100 KFNX.
Mexican tariffs in retaliation to those imposed by the U.S. are roiling U.S. congressional campaigns in states where U.S. exporters could take a hit.
Mexico announcing $3 billion in tariffs against U.S. exports. The tariffs are expected to impact the price of products, including pork, apples, potatoes, bourbon, and some cheese. The move is in retaliation for the Trump administration's announced tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Mexico and a number of other countries. Camila Bernal, Washington.
Shareholders of Google parent company Alphabet rejected proposals aimed at linking executive pay to diversity goals, being more open about lobbying, and narrowing the gender pay gap. Rainfall has complicated efforts to recover bodies in villages devastated by the eruption of Guatemala's volcano of fire. Some locals say many remains will never be removed. 75 deaths confirmed so far, a toll expected to rise with more than 190 people missing. I'm Barbara Cusack.
It's time for your 1100 KFNX traffic report, brought to you by Compassion International. Taking a look at the Tempe, we have an accident at the Loop 101 southbound at Broadway Road. In Phoenix, we have a collision at the I-17 southbound at Greenway Road, as well as Highland Ave at Highway 51. For just $5 a day, you can sponsor a child with Compassion. Become a sponsor now at compassion.com/radio.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening, our air quality alert continues. Mostly clear tonight, overnight low 74. Thursday sunny, high 106. Thursday night clear, overnight low 75. And sunny Friday, high 108. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently in downtown Phoenix, it's 101 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks. Here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
Information on better health, fitness, and nutrition is everywhere, but much of it is about selling and not teaching. Jerry Brainham's Applied Metabolics newsletter is different. No ads, no advertisers, only pure, unvarnished truth. Jerry Brainham has written for bodybuilding magazines for over 35 years and published over 6,500 articles, and has been on the scene of fitness and nutrition for 56 years. His Applied Metabolics newsletter is an incredible source of practical, no-nonsense guidance, offering in-depth information about nutrition, food supplements, exercise science, ergogenic aids, anti-aging and longevity research, women's health issues, fat loss techniques, preventative medicine, and more. For only $10 a month, that's less than a cup of coffee per day. Subscribe to Jerry Brainham's informational and transformational newsletter and get information to guide you on the path toward health, longevity, and overall well-being. Visit AppliedMetabolics.com. That's AppliedMetabolics.com.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Come join Aging 2.0 for the annual Optimize Conference in San Francisco on November 14th and 15th. With 1,000-plus attendees each year, this is one of the largest conferences in the field of aging. It is an annual conference with cutting-edge content, networking, and partnership opportunities that make this a high-value event for anyone interested in innovation and aging. This year, it is taking place in the iconic Herbst Theater at the War Memorial Building in San Francisco. Optimize will feature captivating keynotes, exclusive networking opportunities, unique market insights, and a cutting-edge showcase of innovative exhibitors. Get registered today at www.aging2.com/optimize-2018.
We're back with the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show, and we're talking aging, specifically the next chapter, with Ulya Kahn, who is an ambassador for the Phoenix chapter of Aging 2.0, a movement that is worldwide, helping people age in place and with a great quality of life. So, Scott, you had a question before we went to break, and I just wanted to pick up where you were.
Well, Ulya mentioned something that is, sensitive to, I think, both you and I, and it's really the focus that she was mentioning on caregiving, or maybe if I didn't, understand that correctly, the caregiver, because I think we know as people age, it's very hard to, age alone, and sometimes the caregiver really does take a huge brunt of a lot of the, so to say, stress. And some even would say that their life comes to a complete stop when taking care of an aging person with either, severe pathology or severe dementia. So I think it's just a great, so to say, finger on the hand of focusing, if I interpreted that right, on the caregiver. Was I interpreting that right, Ulya?
Yes, you are. So obviously it's the person who's aged. They're the focus, and what happens a lot of the times, it's their caregiving is one of the focuses, but also the caregiver who is typically the unsung hero or heroine. And what happens a lot of the times is when the caregiver just lets themselves go and it becomes all about the person they're caring for. And when that person passes on, the caregivers themselves then go through a cycle of depression and, they're just on a downward spiral. So it's important to focus on the caregiver themselves.
Yeah. Because they're so close to what it is that they're doing that it becomes automatic.
Well, because their purpose in life
Correct.
becomes looking after somebody.
Right.
And then they lose purpose when they lose the person.
Right. So talking about engagement and purpose, that becomes their engagement and their purpose.
And what are things that are out there for the caregiver? Are there like groups that you let them go to? Is there an outlet that they can share? Are there other people? Like, what is the real specificity of what you do for the caregiver?
So there are some grassroots movements, and there are some, there are some initiatives here in Phoenix as well where people get together, the caregivers get together, and they bring with them the person that they're caring for, and they have regular coffees, etc. But that aside, a lot of the problems are also, they're using technology to tackle some of the problems, in particular using, virtual reality and, augmented reality and avatars, etc., to provide support to the caregivers. So there are a lot of developments happening in that area.
That's great. And
That's good to know.
Yeah, so using that kind of technology to help the caregiver is great because it's remote. They can do it from anywhere. It's convenient.
And then the avatar, basically, in this room, the virtual room for caregivers, everybody has an avatar, and you can be yourself or you can call yourself someone else. But you have a voice, and you have other caregivers who understand what you're going through, and it's this support group that is so needed for caregivers.
Right. That's great. And sharing experiences, and that can be really helpful.
The stories and experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
And what sounds great is they don't have to reveal themselves, because not everybody wants to share, what they're going through and who they are. So if you can give your avatar a different name, I think it gives some anonymity, which a lot of people out there, they really like that and appreciate that in a scenario like that.
Correct. And last year, Aging 2.0 Optimized Conference, they demonstrated a number of these technologies and stories, caregiver stories, very touching.
Yeah, that's great. You're absolutely right. I think the anonymity is really, really important, especially when you get to that level where you're, that becomes your purpose. You don't necessarily want to identify yourself, or you may feel uncomfortable doing so. Scott, during the break, Ulya and I were chatting about certain things that may not be as apparent when it comes to aging and also sort of the I don't want to call it the sequelae, but the consequence of aging. And one of the areas was financial wellness. And as I mentioned before, at the Phoenix chapter, I did meet some individuals who have expertise in in financial, I guess you would call it financial wellness, but they were financial experts. And they do this for individuals who are aged as well as individuals who just want somebody to manage, their finances. And what Ulya was telling me was really interesting, and I'm very curious to hear what our listeners think about, financial wellness and older individuals. So, Ulya.
Yeah, so one of the things that we were discussing over the break was that with each generation, the trust level has gone down. But as people age, they seem to be becoming more vulnerable and gullible, and therefore prone to scams. The silent generation in particular are very trusting. And so, that's why their financial well-being is at risk because of the scammers out there. The boomers are less trusting. And of course, Generation X is even less trusting. But again, as they age, they do become more vulnerable and gullible. The other interesting factoid that I actually came across going through the MIT Age Lab research is the fact that by 2020, the 60-plus population will control 30% of global spend, and what that means for the U.S. is about $8 trillion. So the business of aging is, it's
exponential.
It's exponential. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you think, Scott? What do you think the reason is that, as you sort of look at the younger individuals of this, let's say, aging population, so the 65, 70-year-old, and then you look at the older individuals of the population, 75 plus or maybe even 85 plus, what's the reason that the trust level has gone down in the younger people versus the older people?
You know, that's such a great question, and it's, you know, it's so hard, I think, to really wrangle and get it to the ground, so to say, specifically. You know, I know that, you know, what Ulya said is so true in that people are, so to say, getting ripped off more. I mean, we hear all these telephone scams, you know, so no doubt about it, that's happening. I think because we are not, so to say, going through it, but we're watching it, I think that these younger generations have seen so much already. So much is at their fingertips with technology, and they have such much more awareness and cynicism of what's out there because they see more. They see it. So I think that that's my opinion of why that, you know, it's possible that the younger population is a little bit more cynical out there, but that older population also wants to believe. You know, they want to believe that, yes, this is somebody that's going to send them $10,000. All they got to do is tell them their credit card number.
Right.
So I think that there's a want that wants to go down, and I think that younger population really sees way too much. They've seen it all already at such a young age that they kind of know.
So
that might be a little bit.
So Scott, the other thing that we were discussing during the break was, you know, some of the learnings that I had during my time at Tivity Health and Silver Sneakers, that even though the fitness program is offered to Medicare Advantage members 65 and older, and it's free for them, no charge to them, they have access to 14,000 plus gyms and classes and, you know, all that good stuff. And yet the average age of the participant was 72 years. And then we found out that actually when people turn 65, they really don't think of themselves as seniors. So 65 to 69, they really don't think they are aging. And something happens on the 70th birthday when suddenly it hits them. So, you know, but the good news is that the boomers seem to be a healthier generation.
Right.
So they're already into exercise.
I agree with you. I think there's an awareness in boomers that was not in the previous generation. Many in the previous generation may have been working to sort of get food on the table, just had a different outlook in terms of their life and how they handled their family, as opposed to the boomers. It's a little bit different. They're a little bit more savvy and sophisticated in that way.
And go down the line, guys. Go down to the Generation X and the Millennials.
Exactly.
They're even more.
Right. And I think
they're even more intense.
I think your point is well taken. I think technology has a lot to do with that. So we're going to break right now. We're going to go into our last segment. Give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100 if you want to join in on the conversation. Again, we're talking about aging with Ulya Kahn, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Information on better health, fitness, and nutrition is everywhere, but much of it is about selling and not teaching. Jerry Brainham's Applied Metabolics newsletter is different. No ads, no advertisers, only pure, unvarnished truth. Jerry Brainham has written for bodybuilding magazines for over 35 years and published over 6,500 articles, and has been on the scene of fitness and nutrition for 56 years. His Applied Metabolics newsletter is an incredible source of practical, no-nonsense guidance, offering in-depth information about nutrition, food supplements, exercise science, ergogenic aids, anti-aging and longevity research, women's health issues, fat loss techniques, preventative medicine, and more. For only $10 a month, that's less than a cup of coffee per day. Subscribe to Jerry Brainham's informational and transformational newsletter and get information to guide you on the path toward health, longevity, and overall well-being. Visit AppliedMetabolics.com. That's AppliedMetabolics.com.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Come join Aging 2.0 for the annual Optimize Conference in San Francisco on November 14th and 15th. With 1,000 plus attendees each year, this is one of the largest conferences in the field of aging. It is an annual conference with cutting-edge content, networking, and partnership opportunities that make this a high-value event for anyone interested in innovation and aging. This year, it is taking place in the iconic Herbst Theater at the War Memorial Building in San Francisco. Optimize will feature captivating keynotes, exclusive networking opportunities, unique market insights, and a cutting-edge showcase of innovative exhibitors. Get registered today at www.agingto.com/optimize-2018.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
And we're back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show, here with our guest, Ulya Kahn, who is an ambassador to the Phoenix chapter of Aging 2.0. So we were just talking kind of about, in general, aging and different influences of generations, right? And what Ulya just showed me was some really interesting data. So if you look at who buys Apple products, it looks like the 65-plus population spends the most money on Apple products.
Get out of here!
Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy? Yeah,
I would have bet the exact opposite.
Nope, 976 million, the highest amount.
Important for market
males.
use to know.
Yes, absolutely. In males, and then females, maybe not the highest, but very close to the highest of all the generations. So that's really interesting.
What is your postulation of that?
Well, I think that, I think technology has been shown to be a way to connect people, right? So if they want to, if an older person wants to connect to their family, but they're remote, they have to do this. There's no other way to do it. You're not writing a letter. It's going to get there in 7 days. It's going to be 14 to 21 days before you actually have any kind of communication. This is instant. So I think that's a big deal. But I also think that, this country runs on technology. So if you want to be somewhat up on things, whether it be the news or, your favorite podcast or whatever it is, you've got to be using technology in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and if you think about it...
Right, but why go Apple?
Oh.
Ease of use. I think it's ease of use, to be honest, the user friendliness. But also, there's a status there, and the older adults have a high amounts of, disposable income. Yes. So this is a very wealthy generation. So they, as they get older, they want to buy the best. And Apple, they seem to think is the best in that category. But in addition to that...
I agree with that.
In addition to that, when you think about Facebook, the younger ones moved off Facebook onto Snapchat, Instagram, and other places. Yeah. So Facebook is where a lot of the older people, are found. And a big reason being that, the grandparents, seeing the pictures of grandkids and connection with the families and extended families. So, I had many colleagues who tell me that their 80-plus-year-old mothers, within 2 seconds of them posting something on Facebook, they've, liked it and commented on it, etc. So, it's a way of connecting and,
Yeah. But in a way that is, I would say, paradoxical to that. You also have, we were looking at some other data in terms of solo living and people who are living by themselves. And if you look at the U.S., 27% of the people ages 65 plus live by themselves. So that's over a quarter. And then if you look at the map of the U.S., you got places where almost half of the individuals live by themselves. So in Washington, it's 48%. In Denver, it's like 40%. New York is 32%. So what does that say, though? So you've got all this connectivity, you've got this technology, you've got a population that spends a lot of money to basically connect themselves, and then you have all of these people who are living by themselves.
Well,
right?
That's why they need to be connected, I think, Dave. That's why they need to feel the connection. And I think that maybe in the future, all the technology and telehealth that we've seen It's going to help those people that are living alone with sensors in the homes and, cardiac monitors and everything that's being invented out there. I think that's going to really benefit that population that is living alone.
Right.
But I think Ulya is the expert on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it will eventually improve quality of life in some of those areas that Aging 2.0 focuses on, right? Some of those grand challenges.
Absolutely. We are counting on it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not all of them, but some of them at least, and then, the others can be taken care of by expertise of people around those individuals, whether it be family members or other members that they interact with.
For women in particular, so the stats are that 56% of women 85 or older are living alone.
Yeah,
and then 42% of 75 to 84 are on their own.
Yeah, that is a huge number.
Staggering.
Huge number.
Yep.
I mean, living on your own, it's like it takes a tremendous amount of independence. It takes a lot of sort of wherewithal. You have to, right? They're cooking for themselves most likely.
Yep.
They're shopping for whatever they're doing it independently.
They're buying small portions of everything.
Right. Now, are these individuals, do you know if these are individuals with caretakers or these are people completely on their own?
It's a mixed bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is kind of close the show with some information about a new conference that is coming up that Aging 2.0 is putting on in San Francisco in November, if I'm correct, on the 14th through the 15th.
That's true. Yeah.
There are over 1,000 people that attend these conferences, and this is called the Optimize Conference.
Correct.
You went to the last one,
I
right?
did.
What was that like?
It was awesome and also very, very draining because there is so much over there. I mean, you have some awesome keynote speakers. There was a challenge, startup challenge competition. There were all these displays of, innovation and companies that they are developing solutions for tackling the 8 grand challenges and more. So there's a exhibition area where you can see all the innovations happening in the space. And then there is a packed agenda, which is 2 days full of packed agenda.
So when you walk out of there, you're pretty enthused about how you're going to sort of tackle one or several of these grand challenges.
Yes. And more importantly, it's also because they have networking breaks. So there's a, opportunity to network with people from, other chapters and other countries and, just collaborate and network on, challenges that one is interested in, but also finding out about new things. I mean, last year, I was quite amused by some of the social robots. So we had a bunch of demonstration on social robots where now using artificial intelligence, it's easy to forget that you're talking to a robot in a room because the robot learns from your behaviors and your responses. And it's exciting. And then we learned about these avatars and what is happening for the caregivers. We also learned about transportation for the older adults because, as we know, Lyft and Uber, etc., they are a curb-to-curb service.
Sure.
And what the older adults need, especially as they start to suffer dementia, etc., they need door-to-door services.
Sure.
So we had our own Envoy America, a Phoenix-based company, come there, and they are doing door-to-door for older adults.
I see.
Transportation. So you find out about all these great things that people are doing and innovators are developing.
So just a great educational experience, networking.
Correct.
Exhibition, innovation. Sounds great.
Yes,
I mean,
and then also in startups meeting investors and all that, pipeline development.
Right.
All those good things.
So for people to check that out, go to aging2.com.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Aging 2.0 global website, and actually very well put together, and you can get a lot of information from that. Again, the conference is called Optimize, and it will take place on November 14th and 15th of this year in San Francisco at the Herbst Theater.
Correct. It's an amazing building, very iconic. So also last year we had representation from 20 countries. So in addition to the U.S., and we had about 27% senior care providers from the attendees. 36% were startups themselves. The innovators and entrepreneurs, 10% tech companies, 10% investors, 7% government and academia, and about 6% advisory services.
That sounds amazing. I mean, it sounds like there was so much going on.
Yep.
So I wanted to thank you for coming in. And if you want to get on the mailing list for the Phoenix chapter, very easy. How do we do that? Okay.
Yeah, very easy. Through the website, look for the Phoenix chapter, and then, put in your email address.
Okay, so just go to aging2.com.
And then you search for the Phoenix chapter.
Okay.
And then
you can get on the mailing list.
You can get on the mailing list. That
Great.
way. Any problems, then email me, ulya@wemanage.com.
Ulya, which is ULYA at wemanage. That's one word, .com. And Ulya, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Scott, I think this was a really lively discussion and a lot of great information.
Thank you, Scott and David, for having me, and thank you so much to the listeners for listening to us.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely have you on again.
Thank you.
So that wraps up the Wellness Roundtable radio show for this Wednesday. I'm Dr. David Spearer, and for my co-host, Dr. Scott Weiss, on the East Coast in New York City, we're saying goodbye, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Listening to the Wellness Roundtable radio show right here on Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. Tune in next week for more from the experts on the Wellness Roundtable radio show.
The information and opinions you hear on this radio show are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of KFNX, its affiliates, management, or advertisers.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today with fashion, function, and quality at the forefront. Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
We really ought to get the patriots of this country, not just the motorcycle clubs and people that, still believe in the Second Amendment and private property, but the veterans who've been targeted by the Democrats, by the globalists. I mean, we've got the reports, I've shown them on air, where DHS domestic terror warning, where they said that we stand by veterans being the number one terror threat in America with no evidence, no metrics, no nothing.
Alex Jones, nights 1 to 4 a.m. Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. You're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. Cave Creek, Phoenix. A division of Premier Radio Stations. The home of Laura Ingraham. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m.